Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So recently my wife has decided she wants to start her own private label Amazon FBA business, so I've been teaching her how to do that. And she's just found her first product, so I want to share with you the exact steps I gave her, and you guys can use these to find your first products. So this is a 3-step process. And this is where so many new sellers get stuck. They find out about Amazon FBA, they want to launch their own product, but they never actually find their first product, so they give up. So I'm going to give you a 3-step process that you guys can follow. And if you follow this and do it consistently, you will find your first product. So step 1 is actually getting some product ideas, which is very, very difficult for people. So I'm going to show you that first. Step 2 is ensuring you're then analyzing the correct search term for that particular product. And then step 3 is analyzing the niche itself to ensure that niche is viable and profitable and has a chance of meeting the goals you've set for your business and your first product. So step 1, where to start? Well, if you've got an idea in mind of any private label product you can come up with, start with that. If not, I've got a shortcut for you guys. I've got a private label seller here with nearly 350 different private label products. It doesn't matter which one of these products you start with. It's all about where you end up, as this is going to be a loop that you go through. You're going to look at a seller, you're going to look at their products. Do those products offer any opportunities? If no, go back and find another seller, look at those products and keep repeating the cycle. So you have an infinite supply of product ideas. That's why I use this method. This is the method I always use, and this is the method that I taught to my wife. So this particular seller is called Song Mix, and they have just under 350 products for you guys to go through. So we've got a bathroom corner shelf, we've got hangers, we've got shoe racks, more hangers, bin bags, although I'd stay well away from those, hanging wardrobe storage, weights, jewelry boxes, clothes areas, post box, wall mounted coat racks. So I'm just going to click on one of these. I think I'm going to go with the wall mounted coat rack because it's quite small. I prefer smaller products of Amazon. The bigger the product is, the more it's going to cost you to import it, and the higher your Amazon FBA fulfillment fees are going to be for them for packaging up and sending that product to the customer. So let's take a look at the wall mounted coat rack. And what you do is you then try and figure out what is the best search term for this particular product. Now, I don't think it's going to be hyphenated, but it may be. But I'm going to show you in detail in step 2 how to double check that. But in this instance, I'm just going to assume that they are using the best search term so that I can show you step 1 fully first before we move on to step 2. So let's drop in here wall mounted coat rack, and then we've got lots of wall mounted coat racks pop up. Now once you've done this, this is when you would then analyze the niche. So you'd launch X-ray, and you'd take this X-ray from Helium 10, by the way. I'll pin some discount codes in the pinned top comment. You then do your niche analysis. So it's a 3-step process: product idea, ensure you've got the right search term, and then do your analysis. Now, if you looked at this niche and decided this product wasn't offering a good opportunity, the next step would be to repeat the cycle. So what I would do within X-ray, I would sort these products by price, because what I'm looking for is a seller that has products that sell at a healthy price point, because Amazon's all about having a good margin to work with. So the higher the price point, the more likely they are to have a good profit margin. And also a seller that has a product at a good price point but is also selling well. So the first listing in this niche like that is Skolu. That's selling at $45.99. They're selling 300 units per month, which is pretty good. These ones wouldn't be of interest to me because they're less than 100 units per month. These are also at 300. These are at 130, which is quite good. I think most sellers will be looking, or most new sellers should be looking somewhere in the 1 to 200 region per month, maybe pushing up to 300. These guys would be too low. You've got 445, etc. So if we said your target was maybe 150 sales per month, we've got these guys here at 162, these guys here at 163. You guys can see that. Okay, so let me click onto these. These are called SMEbuy or SMYbuy. Let's click onto their product. And because in this instance we decided that coat racks wasn't going to work out, well, actually it might be a good niche. I didn't do analysis, but I just want to show you this cycle of finding product ideas. I'd then click onto these guys' store and see what products they sell. So it might be that a seller has multiple products you want to analyze first. So with Song Mix, you've got over 350 products you might want to go through. But instead, in this instance, I'm just showing you the example so you get the process. So on the right-hand side, go to the buy box and you'll see it says dispatches from Amazon sold by SMEbuy or SMYbuy direct. So click on that and then scroll to the very bottom of their profile until you see the link that says see all products currently offered by the seller. So click see all products. And just as we started this video on the Song Mix page, we're now seeing all of the products sold by SMEbuy. And then you can go through these and look for different product ideas. So this is how you get product ideas. And if you want, you can even run X-ray on this page to see which of their products are actually selling well. So before you dive into any of them, which products are selling well and which products are selling at a good price point. So they're selling a shoe rack and the coat hooks and some wall cabinet, etc. So this is why this method is so powerful for getting new ideas. Now, step 2, once you've got your product idea, is actually checking you're using the correct search term. So if we go back to the wall-mounted coat rack, and there are 2 ways we can check whether you're using the correct search term. The first is to go by the Amazon's drop-down auto-suggest. So when you start typing in at the top, that will give you some suggestions. So you might start with coat rack, or you might start with wall-mounted. The problem is the default Amazon search suggest doesn't give you any idea of search volume. So we're going to use search expander from Helium 10. So when I start typing wall-mounted coat rack, it will come back with the actual search volume for that keyword and also related keywords. So wall-mounted coat rack actually only has a search volume of 606, but we've got here another suggestion of coat hooks wall-mounted at 9,000. There's also coat hooks, but that might be a bit generic. So let's go with coat hooks wall-mounted, which is looking very likely to be the most relevant search term. If we click on that, and that would probably be the best place to do the niche analysis. Now, if you really want to verify you're using the very best search term, the most accurate search term for any niche, what I would do is actually take one of these products through to Cerebro within Helium 10, and then you can look through the keywords in much more detail. So just to show you this very quickly, if we click on the song mix one again, if we scroll down, this should already be installed. If you've got Helium 10 installed, you'll see this plugin straight away. You'll have a link to keywords there. Alternatively, just go into Helium 10, go to Cerebro and copy and paste the ASIN. But click on keywords there. This will take you into Helium 10 and that will show you all of the keywords that that product is ranked for. So if we scroll down, we can see this product is ranked for nearly 900 different keywords. On the right hand side, it shows you the organic rank. So I'm just going to drag and drop this column over here to make it easier for you guys to see. I'm also going to bring over the search volume here. And then I'm going to go back up and I'm going to apply some filters. So I'm going to put a minimum search volume of 1,000. That will take out a lot of the noise. And then we're going to look through this list again for the highest relevant keyword that this product is ranking well for. And that is probably going to tell us the best search term to use for analyzing this niche. So they're ranked number 1 for coat hooks wall mounted with a search volume of 9,000. Like I say, we saw earlier, coat hooks there at 19,000, but that may be less specific. So I would, in this instance, say that coat hooks wall mounted is the best search term to use. Now, in many niches, it's usually quite obvious which search term to use, but I wanted to show you both techniques in case you wasn't sure. You can either use the search expander from the auto-suggest or bring it through to Cerebro, do this analysis and make your own decision as to which you think is the most relevant high volume keywords to analyze. It isn't always the highest volume one, it's the one that is most relevant. So we're going to analyze coat hooks wall mounted, and that's going to allow us to go to stage 3 of this process. So let's do this. It was coat hooks wall mounted, wasn't it? That was one with 9,000 search volume. Let's double check before I hit enter. Yeah, coat hooks wall mounted. So step 1 was getting product ideas. Step 2 was figuring out the most accurate search term to analyze. And step 3 is actually analyzing the niche itself. So let's run X-ray on this and go through the analysis as I do my very own analysis, just as I taught my wife, and the exact process that she went through to find her first product. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to filter out the sponsored results. So anything with SP is pay-per-click. It's a paid advert, and you don't want that to be in your analysis, as it will just it will muddy the waters and make it very difficult for you to do clear analysis. So click on filter results in the top right hand corner and tick the box that says hide sponsored products from the results. The next thing I want to do is ensure that all the products are comparable. So sometimes Amazon will have a mixture of different types of products for a particular search term. Now, for something like coat hooks wall mounted, that's unlikely to be the case. But if you had a more general search term like baby gifts, the results aren't going to be comparable because they're going to be all sorts of different products. So it's very important to ensure the products are comparable before doing your analysis. Otherwise, the data isn't helpful if it's for all different styles of products. So yes, these products are all comparable. They are all wall-mounted coat hooks. The next thing to check is the seasonality. And the easiest way to check seasonality is to look at the search volume history over the past 12 months. So in the top left-hand corner, we have search volume 9,000. So for coat hooks wall-mounted, click on the graph here and then put this on the 1-year view. and we can look, is there any seasonality? There does seem to be as you come into the winter months, which makes sense. That's when people are buying their coats and using their coats. And in the summer months, as it warms up, as we come down to May, June, July, things drop off a bit. So this product is seasonal and the demand does increase and decrease a reasonable amount throughout the year. Now, this maybe isn't necessarily a red flag for this product, as there is still some demand in the low season, and in the peak season it isn't crazy demand. So you should be able to manage your inventory through these peaks and troughs. Now, I prefer to avoid products that are strongly seasonal, so this one would be very much borderline. So it's very important you know whether a product is seasonal, because if you do your analysis at peak season or low season, and then you order inventory based on that, and then the sales change as the year goes on, you'll probably have the incorrect amount of inventory. So super important to be aware of the seasonality. So we know the products are comparable. We've checked the seasonality. We then start going from left to right. So the next thing we look at is the brand column. And we're looking here for brand domination from big brands that you may recognize. So for people like Nike or Adidas, etc. If they're just private label brands like this, Glazy, Vol or Von Horst, etc., I wouldn't worry too much. It's all about if someone's got a strong enough brand name that customers are making a buying decision based on that brand, they're going to be hard to compete with. If it's a brand name you don't recognize, then the chances are it's not going to be impacting the person or the customer's buying decisions. Then the next thing, I want you to look at 3 columns together, and that is price, sales, and revenue, as they all work together. But you have to figure out first what is the right fit for you. So you have to think about your own budget. Now, there are 2 ways to think about this. You can think about how much you want to make per month. So say you wanted to make £1,000 per month, then your budget has to be at least 3 times that, as your profit is going to be roughly a third of your overall sales price. So if you want to make £1,000 per month, then you need £3,000 to invest in inventory. The other way to think about it is to think about your budget itself, and then your revenue target should be equal to your budget. So if you've got £3,000 to invest in your first batch of inventory, then the sales revenue you're targeting should be £3,000 as well. So you can do it either way. You can do it by the budget you've got available, or if, like my wife's business, where we have a fairly flexible budget, we're doing it by her profit goals instead. So if she wants to make £2,000 per month, we'd have to target £6,000 of revenue. So you can take either approach to that. And the reason you have to be aware of that is you have to find the right product for you. Different products are going to fit different sellers. And your overall revenue is always just a calculation of your price times by your sales. So we need to know your revenue target first so we can work backwards from there. Now, my recommendation in terms of price is not to touch any products below £20, because below £20, it's quite difficult to make money on Amazon because there are so many fees and the competition is very fierce and you're going to spend money on PPC. So the higher the price point, as a minimum of £20, that's going to give you the best chance of making money. And from a sales perspective, for new sellers, aim for 300 or less per month. If you've got a revenue target of maybe £5,000 per month, you don't want to be doing that by selling 500 units at £10. You'd rather be selling 250 units at £20. That is how you'll make money with Amazon. So avoid the high demand niche. You want to be selling anywhere, for a new seller, anywhere from 100 to 300 units per month at a minimum price point of £20. And then you're going to have a very good chance of making money on Amazon. So always look at price, sales, and revenue together. And when you're looking at this, what you're looking for is proven existing demand. I want to see preferably at least 5 sellers achieving a similar price point and similar sales figures. Now, when I say similar sales figures, I mean within kind of 50 or so either side, and price point, probably within £5 or so either side, as long as they don't go too cheap. So this particular niche, there's some quite high demand at the top. The sales are quite up and down, jumping from 1,000 to less than 200. But if I was going to pick, I like to call it a landing zone. This is what I'm looking for in a niche. Where is the landing zone? Where is the place that I can aim for where there's proven existing demand and price point? So in this niche, the average price point is £19, but don't pay too much attention to the bit at the top because it can easily be distorted by one very expensive or one very cheap product. But I would say the average price point that people seem to be in this niche is probably £15. I'm seeing that close to £15, pushing up towards £20. You've got evidence of 1-2 sellers above £20. But overall, I'd probably say this niche, the price point for me isn't quite there. Now, for a business that isn't VAT registered, if you can push above the £15 price point, there may still be an opportunity somewhere between £15 to £20, but I would seriously recommend trying to keep above that £20 price point. Now, from a sales perspective, we've got, the best landing zone I can see, we've got one at 300, 350, 370. I think you'd need to be targeting that sort of level in this niche to have a decent chance of getting ranked in the top 20. So that's how I always look at price, sales, and revenue together. And you want to see a landing zone of around 5 other sellers at the sales level you're targeting, and also at a comparable price point as well, to show that there is proven demand for the product you would potentially be launching. Now, if we continue going over to the right hand side, I'm just going to scroll over now. I'm not too worried about which country or region the sellers are from. I preferably like to see at least 1 or 2 GB sellers in here. If they're all CN, i.e. they're all Chinese sellers, often that means the niche is maybe too competitive and the price point has been driven down too much for us UK sellers to take part. But in this niche, we see quite a few GB sellers. So actually, there may be potential in this niche. The fees column, really you want the overall fees to be around about a third or less than the overall selling price. So if you were selling at £15, a £5 fee is absolutely fine. If you were selling at £20, then maybe 6 to 7 is the max fee you're going to want to see. But if we take these as an example, £28.99 with a £9.22 fee, yeah, that's just about doable. That's just about 30%. But then you've got these guys here at £29.99 with £11.15 fees. Things start to get a bit tight. And these guys here at £10.99 with a £4.61 run well away from that type of product. So your fees roughly about a third or less than your overall sales price. Rating, so this is the overall review score. Make sure there aren't too many products with 4.8 or above, otherwise they will have 5 stars. If it's 4.7 or below, they're going to have 4.5 stars, and if it's 4.2 or below, they're going to have 4 stars. So averaging 4.5 or 4 stars is very doable in most niches. Averaging 5 stars is very, very difficult. So we tend to avoid niches where lots of other sellers have 4.8 or above, because it's going to be hard to compete with 5-star products. Review count. I don't focus too much on review counts. Back in the old days, people used to teach you to only find products with less than 100 reviews, whereas review counts become more important when your product is very similar to the existing listings. The more unique your product is, the less important reviews are, as your product isn't going to be compared on a like-for-like basis. If you have products that are almost identical, and one's got 1,000 reviews and you've got 10 reviews, the customer's going to buy the one with 1,000 reviews. But if your product's got 10 reviews and a unique feature, or with these coat hooks, maybe a new design that the other one doesn't, that's got 1,000 reviews, the customer might buy yours because that design element is a stronger weighting factor in the decision than how many reviews there are. Now, if you do come into a niche where everyone's got 4-figure reviews, i.e. thousands of reviews, then it may suggest it's difficult to break into. I like to see at least 1 or 2 sellers with less than 100 reviews, like these guys here at 39 and 73 and even 102, which shows it's possible for a fairly new seller or a fairly new listing to enter this niche and get ranked well organically. Now, the last few things I just want to look at very briefly is size tier. I prefer to be at standard parcel or below, which is 45 centimeters on its longest side. I've talked about this in previous videos. Now, if you do find a good opportunity that is above the standard parcel, that's fine. Just make sure your profit calculations stack up, and also check what your import costs are going to be as well, because shipping, importing is quite expensive. We've also got your weight there as well, which is important. Make sure you're not bringing in super heavy products, but remember we have this new dimensional weight metric as well now, which is the width, length, and height of the products multiplied together, divided by 5,000. So often your dimensional weight now is actually higher than the actual weight. Then finally, we have the creation date. What I like to see is at least 1 or 2 listings within the past year or 2, which again is similar to the review count. It just shows that it's possible for new listings to get ranked on the first page that have been launched in the last year or 2. If you see all old listings, it can show it's difficult to get ranked. Or if you see all new listings, it could show it's either a fad niche, or maybe it's a restricted product, or maybe it's a trending product. So be very careful with that. This is what you want to see, really. Many of the products are actually a couple of years old, and also some within the last year or 2 as well. So overall, this isn't actually a terrible niche to look at. Hopefully it's given you guys a good example of how I analyze a niche, how I find products in the first place. We then find the correct search term, and then we then do the full analysis. Now, if you want a copy of the cheat sheet that I use to analyze a product, I'm going to pop up a link to a video at the end, which has a PDF for you guys to download. And if you want to use Helium 10, use discount code FBA Elite 20. That will save you 20% off for your first 6 months, or if you pay annually, it will save you 25% off. So that is the most cost-effective way to buy Helium 10. So if you want to get your hands on this product research checklist, which will ensure you're doing your analysis correctly, I'm going to pop up a link to a video now, and I'll see you guys over there.